What's up everybody? My name is Jay and welcome to my channel. You're probably asking yourself, do we really need another channel about cars? This is my 1987 Ford Thunderbird Sport. Now this car is based off the Fox body platform just like the Mustang. So 1987 Thunderbirds pretty much were a pretty basic sedan. This particular one has the 5-liter engine in it, the low horsepower version, only 150 horsepower. 8.8 rear end, AOD automatic, drum brakes in the rear, disc brakes up front. This particular one has been swapped out in the back. It's got an 8.8 out of a turbo coupe, which has disc brakes, so that's kind of cool. As I go along and work on this thing, I'm going to show you a little bit more about the differences, what I run into, what matches the Mustang, what doesn't match the Mustang. Okay, so here's under the hood. Looks pretty much like a Mustang. Other than the main thing different is, if you see on the right hand side, you'll see the power steering pump, and that big aluminum monster piece of crap bracket is where the air conditioning compressor sat. Unfortunately, that is different than a Mustang. These have about the same type of bracket as the trucks do, the same era. So my main goal here was to relocate the power steering pump up to where the AC compressor sat. Unfortunately, I can't relocate this bracket because it's too big and bulky. So I had to pretty much switch over to a Mustang bracket. As you can see, I've already pulled off most of the stuff. I've got the power steering pump left to pull. I needed to wait for my tool to come in so I can remove the pulley, and I'll get to that here shortly. The biggest issue here was I was trying to take the AC condenser out, pull the radiator out. That means I had to pull the fan shroud off. Once I did that, I noticed a problem with the radiator. When I took the fan shroud off, I noticed something a little goofy. You can see the top of the radiator is literally broken free. Now, it wasn't leaking, it wasn't overheating, it was working fine. But figure while I'm in there, I'm going to swap it out as well. Here's the pile of goodies I took off the front of the engine. The alternator bracket, the water pump pulley, crankshaft pulley, radiator clamps, and a little support bracket. Those will all get taken off, sandblasted, and powder coated and put back on so they look halfway pretty. Over here is the new stuff I'm adding. The big bracket is going to be the Mustang power steering pump bracket, replacing the big monster bracket inside the car now. I went ahead and replaced the thermostat housing just because the old one's crusty. And then the two little brackets on the left, those are the relocation bracket to move that big bracket up. So here's the difference between the two power steering pump brackets. The one on the right is a Mustang bracket, the one on the left is a Thunderbird bracket. So I can use the one on the right to relocate it up to where the AC used to be. It'll clean up that engine compartment quite a bit. Alright, so I decided to swap out the thermostat housing. As you can see, the old one was a little crusty, kind of grungy. I probably could have cleaned it up, but a new one's $10, so it was an easy choice. The main difference, though, you're going to run into is that if you see that port right there, the new one is threaded. That's going to help me when I decide to install this. This is a Duraley fan controller. I will be putting electric fans on this at some point, but because this kind of thing's kind of buried in there, once everything's all assembled, I'm going to go ahead and put the sensor in that when I install this. That way it's all said and done. Then when it comes time to installing the fans, everything will be all in place for it. You can see I've got pretty much everything off the front of the engine except for the water pump. It appears to be pumping water, so I'm going to leave it. But everything else is off, all the accessories and everything. Once I get all the accessory pieces back from powder coat, I'll get that all assembled back on there and hopefully get this thing put back together so I can get it fired back up. Can't really drive it yet since we're in winter right now, but hopefully I can get it buttoned back up so it's ready for spring. I cleaned up the tray where the radiator sat. It was a little grungy, a little rusty, so it's not perfect, but it's a lot better. I'll throw a coat of paint on that later. Transmission cooler is going to get swapped out with a better design. I'll reroute the transmission lines and bring them over to the passenger side instead of crossing over in front of the engine. I'll probably cut them off right there at that bend. I think I'm going to do a 37-degree flare on that and then do an AN line from that to the cooler. Look a little nicer and just be easier. All I wanted to do was delete the air conditioning. Turned into a huge can of worms. Unfortunately, sometimes you got to run into those problems. Well, that's going to probably be it for this video. Not going to be a very long one, really more of an introduction to the project and kind of where I'm at right now. Get everything apart, get everything cleaned up, ready to install the new parts. going to get everything back in. I've got a few things I'm waiting to come in yet from the part store, and we'll see if that comes in hopefully soon, and I can get this thing put back together. When I do, I'll show you what I got going on. Thanks a lot for watching.